Delta Sky Pesos is what some people call Delta SkyMiles because they are so hard to redeem for good value. Oftentimes when you look for a flight from the US to anywhere internationally, it's hundreds of thousands of Delta SkyMiles. But what if I told you there's a way to get to Europe for 75,000 Delta SkyMiles, Australia or South Africa for 95,000 Delta SkyMiles, or even Asia? And this is for Delta One, which is business class. This strategy is what Thrifty Traveler called the last great way to redeem Delta SkyMiles for business class. Gary Leff drafted something in February and decided not to post it because it seemed like it would be taunting Delta. Frequent Miler wrote about this strategy in February, but it's mostly flown under the radar. That strategy is what we're gonna go over in this video. My name is Max and I help people maximize their airline miles, hotel points, and credit card points. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button down below. I'm getting close to 30,000 subscribers, and let's get started with today's video. Delta SkyMiles are known to be difficult to redeem because of how many miles it costs to fly anywhere in and out of the US, like a lot of Delta SkyMiles. Delta long ago got rid of their award chart and currently dynamically prices their award flights, so that means the number of SkyMiles can increase or decrease depending on demand or the cash price of the flight. This often makes international routes consistently over hundreds of thousands of Delta SkyMiles one way, which is pretty absurd. A redemption that has flown under the radar for some time is redeeming Delta SkyMiles for flights that don't originate in the US. A lot of people probably won't like this idea, but if you have Delta SkyMiles and want to maximize, this is the way. Let's take a look at some examples side by side. If I want to go from LAX to Paris, it's 340,000 Delta SkyMiles. If I originate my travel out of a country that is not the US, let's say Mexico, I can go from Mexico City to Paris for 75,000 Delta SkyMiles. This itinerary is even connecting you onto the same LAX to Paris flight, but you're just starting in Mexico City instead of LAX. That's a huge discount. Okay, let's say I want to go from LAX to Sydney. That's 410,000 Delta SkyMiles. But if I go from Mexico City to Sydney, that's 95,000 Delta SkyMiles, which is a huge difference. Okay, what about Asia? If I want to go from LAX to Seoul, it's 270,000 Delta SkyMiles. If I change this to Mexico City to Seoul, it's 90,000 Delta SkyMiles. That's more than 50% off. This works out of other cities in Mexico too, like Cancun, Guadalajara, Puerto Vallarta, and Cabo as well. The best way to search for these deals is on the Delta website. There's really no way around it, and sometimes it's just trial and error. Sometimes the flights might be cheaper out of Mexico City, other times it might be cheaper out of Puerto Vallarta or even Cabo. Try different cities and different dates and see what the rates are like. Sometimes the flight itinerary will take you through Mexico City, while other times you have to go from Mexico and connect to the US and then on to your final destination. It really varies, and you never know what you'll find until you run a search and see what the options are. Of course, the challenge here is that you have to position yourself down to Mexico. That means you need to book a separate ticket from your airport to Mexico City as an example. If I'm based out of LAX, I would need to book a ticket from LAX to Mexico City to take advantage of this deal. Positioning flights are key to booking award flights and getting a good deal, but there are some risks, and don't be like me and not provide enough time between positioning flight and the flight you want to get on. In 2021, we missed our flight from Chicago to Madrid because our positioning flight from San Diego to Chicago got delayed and I didn't provide enough time, and we missed our flight from Chicago to Madrid. And another thing to note is that in some cases, the layover might be a bit long and take some time, so it depends on what your tolerance is and how willing you are to save on some Delta SkyMiles. If you're on the East Coast, obviously that makes things more difficult because you would have to travel much further to get down to Mexico to take advantage of some of these deals. So if you live on the East Coast, it might not be worth it to pay the extra money for the positioning flight down to Mexico. I live in San Diego, so I'm lucky enough to have the options to use the cross-border express to get to Tijuana, and then from Tijuana fly to Mexico City and then on to Sydney if I wanted to for 95,000 Delta SkyMiles. SkyMiles I can earn either from flying Delta, Delta credit cards, or even transferring American Express points over to Delta. With how tough it is to get to Australia or some of these business class redemption now these days, it might be worth repositioning down to Mexico. What I recommend is running a search to see what you can come up with, and you have to decide whether it's worth it to position down to Mexico or not. Let me know in the comments about how you feel about positioning to Mexico. Would that be something you do, or is that too much work to get in on a Delta SkyMiles deal? As for the return flight, you can use the same strategy and then figure out your way from there. Maybe don't check a bag. If you want more ways to maximize Delta SkyMiles, check out this video out here that will show you how to book Delta One flights for 50,000 points, or check out this playlist if you want to maximize your points. Thanks for watching. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.